Hi everyone, welcome to my page and thank you for watching. This is my first attempt at making a wood and resin table, and hopefully I'm going to give as much detail as I can. So if anyone else is attempting to try and make a coffee table or wishes to make a coffee table or any sort of wood and resin table, I'm trying to give as much information here as possible to help anyone, including my mistakes and things you need to look out for. First and foremost, you have to buy the wood, which I did. I bought it on eBay, 2 pieces of walnut, English walnut wood. It took me a while to find good pieces, but I ended up finding them. I found a great workshop nearby because I don't have major industrial tools, no form of planer or table saw or anything like that. So I managed to find these guys online and called them up. They're a kitchen making company, kitchen fitting company, and they do bespoke kitchens. Very good, very decent price to get these sanded down and planed down and even. It cost me about £30, which wasn't bad considering. I then took a chisel and a wire brush and I cleaned up all the dirty bits and edges in between the grooves. It took me a while, and managed to get all the dead wood out of there in order to prepare it for its initial epoxy pour, so that it could adhere and there's no pockets of air or anything like that. So after a while, I finally decided on the way I wanted the wood to look, and I made the frame out of melamine board. I bought 2 pieces of board. One of the boards I cut into 4 sheets, and I made a frame. I put cork on the inside of the frame, and then a silicone spray. So it's an easy release silicone spray. Here are a few items of which I had to purchase. I'll give a breakdown at the end of my cost roughly. I've probably left out a few bits and bobs, but approximately what it cost me to make this, considering I had a lot of tools already. I had a router, I had a drill, I have, a sander, and certain other things I had. I didn't have to purchase some tools. Yeah, here we have, a bucket. You can buy 2, 3, 4, as many as you need. They're about £3 each. This epoxy that I'm using is a deep pour epoxy, which means you can pour up to about, I think it's about 8 inches, and it should still harden within about a week's time. I actually did several of these, so in total I used approximately 20 liters, being my first go, and being that I was buying 3 liters at a time. um, I didn't know about calculations. I didn't want to even attempt it because it just seemed a bit too daunting. So I thought I'll order a bunch up. I ordered about 5 of those 2-part epoxy, and every 24 hours I would do another batch. So I'd wait until the first epoxy would kind of semi-set, and then I would do another pour right on top of it. So it needed to be tacky. I didn't get it in the video here, but every 24 hours after a pour, go with another batch, and you pour that on top before it sets. If it sets and hardens, you will have to sand it down so that the next batch of epoxy could adhere to the next one. What I'm doing here is just mixing part A, part B, and a whole bunch of black resin. I knew I wanted it to be really, really black, really dark, so I didn't put any sort of measurements. It's a particular dye that's used just for resin as well, so I didn't think it would affect the pour too much, which it didn't. The mixing of the epoxy is very important. You need to scrape down the sides and take your time. It will take a long time to mix and stir, and keep mixing. Just make sure that everything has mixed together well. Get a stirrer and scrape down the sides and bottom always, every 2 minutes or so, and it takes about 6 to 10 minutes to actually mix the whole batch together. This is my first pour. I've just put enough epoxy. So this is 3 liters of epoxy. It's quite a thick wood, so I didn't take that into consideration. Some people layer the middle of their river table with pieces of wood when they're doing a really dark wood, but I didn't want to compromise on my first one, especially thinking that I'm going to sell it. I wanted the quality to be there. In the future, I'm going to use a vacuuming method to get rid of the micro bubbles, as when I went around, every sort of hour or so I'd come and I'd pop the bubbles. I still found at the end, when everything was hardened, there was still micro bubbles. So I definitely change that in the future if I continue to make these sort of things. Well, here are the micro bubbles I'm talking about. You just get a flame. I had only an oxyacetylene torch. I don't have a blowtorch yet, so a very light flame. Don't go over it in one spot too much, because this is temperature sensitive and it heats up. So another thing is to watch out for the temperature in your workshop and make sure it's not too warm in there, or too cold. Here it is after about I would say about 16th liter of epoxy. Still not enough. And then I went and I just overfilled it. I corked out the outlines, but I overfilled it and it spilled out. So there's nothing I can do about that. About 2 weeks later, I decided to remove it from the mold. The sides did not come off as I had hoped, and it took me a while to get it all apart. Didn't want to damage the table in any way, so very lightly tapping away on each of the sides to release it from the mold. The sides were the hardest part, but after removing the sides, the bottom came off fairly well. It didn't cause me too much problems, but in the future I would do a different method. I wouldn't probably use melamine or that silicone spray. Probably use it for the sides maybe, but I've seen a video of some guy using vinyl underneath as the base, and it came out really quickly. Here it is after a long while of chipping away, and there's the aftermath. So I still have a lot of work to do. I need to take it back to that workshop that I took it to earlier to plane them down, and they were more than happy to oblige. This time they charged me a bit more, but I did have a few notes for them, and I did give them dimensions and particular cuts that I wanted. So it made sense. It was £50 this time, so it wasn't bad. Still good, considering I don't have a table saw. I don't have any sort of jig that I could have done this with. So my advice is, if you're worried that you don't have enough tools, there are workshops, there are places that you can go to get things done that you need. You just need to research it in your area. I found it very quickly, called them up and managed to speak to someone who was very friendly and more than happy to oblige. So here I am in the workshop. He actually let me take a few videos and watch him in action. So a table saw like that would be my dream probably in the future. If I were to carry on like this, making projects, I will definitely invest more in some tools. So here it is after, and I was planning to actually leave it like this, maybe just round off the top edge a bit, just slightly, but I had a problem with my router bits, and this is the edge I came out with, which actually came out really well. I was shocked at how I done this actually, because I was not expecting it. I was just expecting to round off the edges at the top. But in the end, it came out well, the edges, so I didn't mind. Here's the base. There's a lot of sanding involved. I bought a pack of those sanders. I'm definitely going to invest in a rotary sander in the future, or what they call an orbital sander. It is very messy work, as you can see. That's about an hour and a half of sanding there. Here I am just dry fitting these spider legs that I bought for the coffee table, with a water pop finish at the end. As you can see, they are askew, and I had to adjust it, which was a very big mistake on my behalf, but it worked out in the end, and I don't mind it. It's only the underside. I used Rubio Monocoat, which is a one coat hard wax, and I buffed it on with those buffers. It is really, really good. As you can see, there's a lot of sheen. I got the legs in the right position finally. That's not without some mistakes on the underside, which you will see I had to fill in with the resin, but all in all, being my first coffee table I've ever made, I'm very happy with it. If I get what I want for it, I'm gonna put it up online. Then I will continue to make tables, and I'll know there's a market. If not, then I'm just gonna keep it. Here's the sheen. You can see slight imperfections, sand grooves and sand marks. You can only see it when the light reflects on it. Here's the underside. One mistake right there. The others are cleaned up pretty well. I did do threaded inserts with the bolts for the legs. The legs cost me about £90. I don't think I put it in the end. But if you're willing to do something like this, just go for it. I just want to make a quick shout out to Cam from Blacktail Studio on YouTube. He actually inspired me.